Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. This is Samantha Russell from 20 over 10. Thank you so much for joining me today for another AMA Ask Me Anything. For those of you just signing on, I thought I would start while we wait for people to sign on for a second by just giving a little bit of background. We've had a lot of new people start joining our webinars or connecting with us on social media. And I've gotten quite a few messages from people just asking me questions about my background. So I thought it might be fun to just start with a quick couple of facts to get all of you to know me a little bit better. So I am actually based in State College, Pennsylvania. So if we have any Penn State alums out there, if you ever come into town for a football game or another reason, you'll have to reach out for a cup of coffee. So I'm here in State College, Pennsylvania, which is right in the middle of the state. I'm originally from Cleveland, Ohio, but am not an Ohio State fan, so don't get mad. I really adopted Penn State as my team ever since moving here. My husband, Ryan Russell, is one of the co-founders at 20 over 10, and he's also a professor of design at Penn State. So that is what makes us such huge Penn State fans. And I have two little ones, a 4-year-old Hudson and an 18-month-old daughter, Grace. And I just wanted to share with all of you because I know so many of you are trying so hard to learn everything you can about digital marketing and make it work for your business. And there really is a lot to learn and it can be overwhelming. And I just wanted to share with all of you that, you know, so much of, especially the SEO things that I have learned myself over the last 5 years, I've just learned from reading and practicing and doing and watching video tutorials the same way all of you are doing now. So it really is one of those things that the more you dive in and come to sessions like this, you know, you'll continue to be headed in the right direction. So just a few fun facts about me to get us started this afternoon, because I know a lot of you are sitting down to join in during lunch. So hopefully make it a little bit more interesting. In the background today, I do have Amanda Larson from our team. She's our director of marketing. She's amazing for any of you who've gotten to work with her on your SEO. And she'll be putting links in the chat box as we go through today. And then we'll also send all of the links plus the recording to all of you so that you have all of the great resources at your fingertips. If you have a question, please, please, please send it in the Q&A box or in the chat box as we're talking about things. We cannot unmute you. So if you raise your hand, we can't unmute you. So please put it in the chat box or the Q&A. And we got so many questions sent in ahead of time. So I'm gonna share my screen. I put them all in a Google Doc and let me know if you guys can see that. Okay, you should be able to see it. So I put them all in a Google Doc so that we can follow along together, just really informally. But certainly, you know, you can chat your questions in or follow up comments or questions as we're all talking as well. That will be, you know, really helpful. Okay, so a couple of, can you guys see me? Sorry, nobody said, can they see my screen okay? You should see the Google Doc that says AMA. So let me know if you can see that in the chat and then we can dive right into some of these questions. Ah, thank you, William. You're the one that said yes. Okay, so a few questions that we got, and the first one I wanted to address was budget. So when it comes to marketing, a lot of people have questions on how much should they be spending. And I don't like to give any one number because so many firms are different in what their revenue is and what would be a big amount or a small amount for them, but I like to think of it as percentages. So the average advisory firm is spending about 2%. There was a really popular article that went up either yesterday or over the weekend that I'm sure a lot of you saw in Think Advisor talking about Ken Fisher and how he spends 6% on marketing every year. And that's a huge number because of the amount of revenue that they do. So the actual total is going to vary less than or mean less than the percentage. I find that what's most important about the number is tracking if when you do increase your budget, does it increase your bottom line, right? So, and you need, but the problem is you have to give it a full year in order to really make that assessment, because just like you guys give your clients advice and you say, okay, we're going to put this budget in place, we're gonna focus on your finances, but you know, you can't really assess it in just a month or a quarter. You really got to give it a year, even 2 years. And because of the compounding nature, it's the exact same thing with any good digital marketing plan. It takes some time to really get things off the ground. So I definitely, suggest checking in monthly and then quarterly on progress. But in terms of whether or not you should adjust your spend, your overall spend, what I really suggest you do is sit down at the end of the year. And so if you increase your total marketing budget by 1%, you want to then look at your ROI and see, like, how many new calendar bookings did we get from, that increase? How many more qualified website views did we get? How many more new clients did we get? And then you can assess whether that increase in spend was effective or not, right? You also can look even more finely at specific things. If you're creating Google Ads and you have a really high budget, it can be a huge, huge cost without a lot of ROI right out of the gate. And what a lot of people don't realize is you can do a lot of testing with just a small budget. So for instance, here at 20 over 10, we only do often like $5 a day when we're testing some sort of ad, or we might even say, okay, for this entire ad, the length of when it runs, we're only going to do $20, but we'll run 3 different versions of it. And then we can go in and look at each variation and see which one is performing best, then take all the money that we were using across the different variations and pull it into the top performer, right? So again, it's less about the total amount and more about analyzing how it impacts the bottom line, and then also testing different variations. When you create, for instance, a website homepage, yes, you can work with our team and we can do everything in our power to make it as perfect as possible out of the gate. But the most successful advisors, they're going to have one version of their website that's up for a month or 2. And then maybe the next month they create a separate homepage message. And then they look at the end of those 4 months. Was the first 2 months leading to more calendar bookings or the second 2 months? Now, of course, you have to try to test these things in a vacuum as much as possible. So don't, for the second 2 months, also run a bunch of new email marketing and social media campaigns and not, understand that partially could be related to that. But certainly try as best as you can to test 1 or 2 variables at a time. Okay, so the next thing that I got a lot of questions about were which platforms people should be on for social media and, how they should be using it. So those are really general questions. I just broke down for you here. These are what I suggest, like overall as a generality, right? It's going to be nuanced, but Twitter is most ideal if you're trying to connect with other people in the industry and you want to get a lot more connections with journalists, with press, with PR. That's the place you want to do it. I really don't see as many people, getting clients from Twitter. If you're in an industry that you are, please let us know, comment below. The one exception that I often will see to that is a lot of people will tell me if they work with physicians, interestingly enough, that they can connect with physicians there. But I think, there's not as large of a population getting their clients from Twitter. LinkedIn is much more universal in the sense that most working professionals are on LinkedIn. So if you're targeting retirees, people that, are already retired or about to retire, that might not be the best platform for you, right? For Instagram, I really think this is a huge opportunity. That's probably the largest adoption in terms of people signing up for the platform. And we see a lot of pre-retirees, retirees even adopting that platform because that's where the young people have gone and are sharing pictures now. I even know often I'll post pictures of my kids on Instagram, but might not post them on Facebook. So now all the grandparents are on Instagram because of that, and they'll find new companies and follow them too. So that's a really good opportunity. I will say that we get the most questions about how to use LinkedIn and how to use Instagram for business. Those are the 2 that most people struggle with. And so we actually are going to be doing a webinar at the end of this month specifically on that. Amanda just shared it in the chat and I have it linked here as well. So I'll just open it up. But if you just go to our website, you ever click on that learn button, so you go to 20over10.com, you click on learn, you'll see all of our upcoming sessions, and down here at the bottom, using LinkedIn and Instagram to attract more clients, we're gonna break it down for you. Half the webinar will be devoted to LinkedIn, the other half will be devoted to using Instagram, and we'll talk you through what you need to know in order to use those platforms effectively. And we're also gonna be showing you examples of real advisors who are doing a fantastic job. Instagram, I think, is tricky for people because it's so visual. They don't understand like how to turn the content to be visually focused. So we have a really nice lineup for you on that we'll be excited to share. I got a message about Quora. So I haven't heard many people telling me that they've gotten clients from Quora. If you have, please let us know in the comments in the chat box. I know it's a great source. We've gotten clients from me posting answers on Quora. Not hugely often, but sometimes. But if any of you on the line have tried that strategy before, please let us know. If you're not familiar with Quora, it's a question and answer, basically, forum. So people pose questions and then other people answer the questions. And you can obviously link back to your website and kind of show your expertise that way. Okay. Some of the other questions we got about social media: what kind of content is the most popular and what gets the most engagement, right? So I listed out here for you some different examples that we have seen work really well for the advisors that we work with. So these are things separate from the normal personal finance style posts that you're often going to see in advisors' feeds, right? So a lot of people just have insurance or tax or portfolio articles. While those, are interesting, and of course they help lend, credibility to you as an expert, if you think about when somebody is going to social media in the middle of the day, often they're going there as an escape to get kind of like a mental break from whatever it is they're working on. So during the day, it can be a good time to post what we call more lifestyle pieces. So content that's a little bit more digestible, easy to scan, things that aren't too intense. The most meaty technical pieces I usually save for email or for, first thing in the morning when somebody might be up for a more intense read. You obviously need to look at your own demographic and see what works for you. I have a lot of people, for instance, who specialize in working with physicians or medical professionals, and they see huge engagement rates with their content when they post in the middle of the night. So they have their posts scheduled to go out at midnight or 1 a.m. because that's when a lot of doctors are at the hospital working. And if it's a slow night, they can be perusing, their social media feeds. So think about, in terms of time of day, what your audience looks like. But here are some different examples of like lifestyle content that you could write originally. Profiles of Meet the Team. So, get to know John Smith, our founder. Get to know Caitlin Jones, our client support specialist, and have an interview with them where you share pictures of them, talk about their background, what they like to do in their spare time. Also doing posts on top books that you've read, podcasts you've listened to, anything like that is really usually gets good engagement. Another huge strategy, if you're trying to get a lot more clients in your local area, you want to be known as the top advisor, in Baltimore and Annapolis or wherever you're located, you can pick different local charities or nonprofit organizations or community groups and highlight them, right? So I saw one advisor where he would pick a different historical landmark or place in town and do a blog post about it, and different, like, behind the numbers that people might not know. So, this cathedral was built in 1890, and it costs this much, which in 2019 dollars would be this. And did you know that the average worker then was only paid X amount? And he features a lot of these historical landmarks that the retirees and pre-retirees that he's focused on are interested in. So it's combining culture with location. He's also getting all of these keywords then for the location, that people might be searching for. So that's a really interesting, great strategy. If you know that your audience is very philanthropic and they're community minded, you can feature different, local nonprofits and the work that they're doing. And when you're helping to spread their message, they're often going to reshare your posts. And if you think about who sits on the boards of these community organizations, often they can be very well-to-do folks themselves, right? So if it's the local, Boys and Girls Club or something, and you're resharing what they have going on, or you create a post about an upcoming fundraiser and why it's such a good opportunity to donate to it, and then the Boys and Girls Club of Baltimore reshares it, now everybody who follows them is going to see your original post, right? So that's how you really pack a punch on social media. It's not just sharing your personal finance thought leadership. It's a mixture of all these different tactics. Amanda posted a link to a blog post we have on how to integrate lifestyle content into your marketing strategy. So this is not on our 20 over 10 blog. It's on our Lead Pilot blog. Lead Pilot is the new product that we're launching. So you can go there though, and you can see, all the nuts and bolts of how to do it, why you should do it, some examples of other advisors and what they've done. That'll really help, get those creative juices flowing, hopefully, for you all. And then I did have some questions about like, well, what should the ratio be of lifestyle content versus, your own thought leadership or your company posts, right? So here's just what I do. Again, this is just to give you an example. So on Twitter, 40% of what I share is actually just personal updates about my family, my kids, where I live, vacations I'm going on, books I'm reading, things like that. 60% of the time, it's posts on, SEO, digital marketing, how financial advisors can get more website visitors, things like that. That's my personal area of expertise. With LinkedIn, you can see my formula is much different. People don't expect to go to LinkedIn and read about your personal life. It's considered to be a much more professional platform. So I don't share pictures of my children there or personal stories as much. What I'll do is share original posts and thought leadership, again, about my area of expertise, which is digital marketing. But then 30% of the time, I'm resharing 20 over 10's own posts just to keep that company name in there. And then the other 30% of the time, I either reshare posts that I think are good, or I do different lifestyle posts, or it can be personal, but it has to have some sort of business story at the end, right? So I shared a picture of my family on vacation back in May, and I talked about how to create an out of office message that actually gets people to let you just enjoy your vacation. And in it, I gave some tips about how I told people that I was on vacation with my family, with my 2 young kids, that we were on Sanibel Island in Florida, what we were doing, and that, I was really going to disconnect from email and I'd get back to them on Monday, because I hate that line that people will use. I'm out of office with no ability to connect to email, because for 99% of the world, that's not true. Most anywhere you can go, you can get on your email. So I wanted to just be honest and say, it's not that I can't connect to email, but I want to take a break. And it got probably more views than any other LinkedIn post I ever posted. So it was a combination of talking about something that is in, the world that everybody's thinking about, which is how do we disconnect in this time where we're also connected, but then it also shared a personal photo and a little bit of background about me. And that's what we find gives you the best engagement on social media, when you can weave personal stories into your content that all leads back to a takeaway that you can then give your audience that somehow relates to the topic at hand, which for all of you would be, financial planning, investment management, things like that. So those are the questions I got about social media. Keep your questions coming. I know it's I don't know if it's weird for all of you. It's weird for me to just be kind of talking to myself. So if you have more questions or comments on specific things that I'm sharing that's helpful, please let me know. But I'm going to move on to the next section, which is driving traffic and converting leads. So let's see here. Oh, Allison just asked if we could share the link to that LinkedIn message. Yes, absolutely. We can do that. There is... No, we don't have a blog post about it. We can share the link to the LinkedIn post itself. And then I just had somebody send me a private message about hashtags. So if you're wondering how to use hashtags and tagging to get more, sorry, I can't see on my screen here. Okay, here we go. We have this blog post, how you can use hashtags to get more eyes on your social media posts. And we have lots of great tips. There's a lot of evidence that if you use hashtags and that you tag people, you will get seen more. So it can be really hard for someone to tell you, you know, hey, give it a year to try out this new digital marketing strategy. And you're thinking, I only have, you know, 20 followers on LinkedIn, 10 Twitter connections, and nobody on Facebook. How the heck am I going to do this, right? The way to get more followers and connections is to use hashtags and the tag symbol. So, you know, tag somebody with that @ symbol. That is how you will get a lot more eyeballs on your posts. And the reason is pretty simple, right? When hashtags work in that anybody can click on the hashtag and they can see all of the posts that have that hashtag. So if you use the hashtag retirement tips, anyone that clicks that hashtag will see all of the Twitter posts or the Facebook posts or the LinkedIn posts that have that hashtag in it. If you tag somebody, the number one reason I like tagging is usually the person you've tagged or the company you tagged will either reshare your post, will comment on your post, or will like your post, right? So it's a really powerful way to get eyeballs from people who have a larger following than you do. And again, it's great to tag people in your local community as well to get more engagement that way. Okay, so let's move on here. So we had some questions about getting traffic to a new website and also using Google Analytics. You know, those were two really big ones. So if you go to well, actually, let me start here. For anyone who has questions at all about getting more traffic, one of the first things you always want to do is just make sure that your website is set up appropriately from a search engine optimization standpoint. You can do lots on social media, you can send emails, and that will work, but you also just want to be able to be found, right? If someone Googles Lighthouse Financial Planning, and that's the name of your company, and 30 other Lighthouse Financial Plannings come up before yours, that's not good. You don't want them be sitting there clicking on all these different ones. So this is a guidebook we've put together. Any of you can go to this page and drop your name and your email in and download it. And it is chock full with checklists, with guides, with in-depth information that you can make sure page by page that your website is set up appropriately. So that is a really great tool and resource. Download it. If you're working with our team at 20 over 10 to set up your website, we take care of what we call the on-page factors that are in the back end if you purchase an SEO package. So, you know, if you come into the homepage, for instance, we'll set up your browser page titles. We make sure that your headers have your keywords. So the SEO package, if you're purchasing that through 20 over 10, we take care of those on-page factors. We also take care of some of the off-page factors in that platform. Gosh, that's a tongue twister. Let me just pull up that for you all. So again, if you go to 20over10.com and you click on pricing and add-ons there, Amanda just posted the link to the guide in the chat box, so you guys can see that there. So if you're on pricing and then you click this explore button, you can see our different add-ons there. And so this one right here, SEO Essentials, if you click learn more, it'll give you all of the things that we do in that package. So if you really want to just make sure that you're set up appropriately with all of the basics, this package is great. It's $800, it's a one-time fee, but we also tell you in this guide, if you're budget conscious or you don't want to pay us to do it, what you need to do that we take care of for you. Additionally though, in this guide, we talk about ongoing SEO, right? So our SEO package takes care of all the basics for setup, but if you want to continue to rank high, you have to consistently post updates to your website in blogs, different articles, things like that. In this guide, we explain how often you need to do that, how to include keywords, all that good stuff. It's a more hands-on tutorial. For those of you who just want the short answer to how often, you really should do it at least twice a month at the bare minimum. The advisors who are going to get the best success are going to do it as much as twice a week. So think about what you can do from a bandwidth perspective and, you know, make it happen accordingly. Okay. Somebody was asking me if I can talk more about Lead Pilot. I will save that at the end, so stay tuned if you want to hear more about that. Okay, Google Analytics and what you should be tracking. So we have, of course, a couple blog posts about that as well. So again, if you go to our blog, by the way, and you're looking for a specific topic, you can just click this search and type in whatever it is that you want, and you'll get a list of articles around that. Oh, Amanda, someone's saying that they were getting a 404 for the link SEOs for RIAs. Oh, it's because if you click it right from the link that Amanda posted, you have to remove that little emoji and then it will come up. The party hat. Thank you, Lisa. And then that should work just fine. Okay, so back to what we were talking about over here. Where is it? Here we go. Google Analytics. So we have this blog post here that will give you the main things that we suggest you look at every time you log into Google. And what I personally suggest is once a month, going in and looking at your Google Analytics and, you know, assessing how things have changed over that 1 month period. And then at the end of the year, creating a full report. The reason I like to do it month to month is because you know, and you can remember more what's been happening, right? So if all of a sudden you got a blog post that was featured on CNBC and you see a huge uptick in July, you're gonna know that was why. You can make a note of that in your notes. And then next June, when you're assessing the year, you don't have to sit there and be like, why did I get that huge increase in July? You'll remember it, right? So definitely do it once a month. And these are the different stats that we suggest that you look at. So by the way, you have Google Analytics set up in your 20 over 10 account. The way you can check to make sure it is being tracked, you can obviously go into Google, but if you go into the site settings here under integrations, and you'll see whether your tracking code is there or not. If it's not there and you're a DIY customer, you'll go here to enter it. If you've worked with our team to build your site for you, you can contact support and we can help you add it in if you don't want to go right there and add it in yourself. Okay, so again, once you make sure it's tracking, these are the things that you want to focus on. So, you know, who is visiting your site? The number one mistake I see people making, they will count every single visitor the same, right? If for most of you, and probably like 99% of you, cannot work with clients in Russia or Thailand. Raise your hand if you can. Maybe there's some of you that just do straight financial planning and you can't, but you know, for a lot of you, you can only work with people in the United States. And so getting visitors from Russia is not going to help your business. So filtering by the geo tab is a really great way to make sure you're only counting visitors that you can actually work with, right? Even more specifically, you can filter down into the state or the metro area. So if you really are trying to focus on getting visitors from Cincinnati, because that's where you want to get, you know, prospects from, you can look at how is your visitors from Cincinnati going up over time using that geo tab. Also looking at new versus returning. If you're trying to grow a blog and be a thought leader and get more content marketing out there, you want to see the number of returning visitors go up as well. For most advisors, their new visitors it's usually one or the other. Either their new visitors are 90% and only 10% returning. This is if they're performing really well at SEO, so they're getting a lot of new traffic, but they're not doing a good job of capturing people once they're there. They're not posting more content and getting people to come back over and over. On the opposite end of things, I'll see people who you know, don't have really any SEO and they just have their current clients going to their website over and over. And so 90% of theirs is returning visitors. That's bad as well. You want a good mixture of the two. And it looks like some people might be having a hard time downloading that SEO book. If anyone else was able to download it, please comment in the chat box for us, letting us know that you're able to get it. If there's an issue for everyone, what we can do is, oh good, so it did work for other people. Perfect, thanks everyone. So it looks like Glad Perez, Amanda, was the only one who couldn't get it to work. She tried on 3 different browsers. So Glad, we'll just send you an email with it. If you could send your email to marketing@20over10.com, we'll respond and send you the ebook so you don't have to worry about it. Okay, quickly, some other things you wanna track in Google Analytics. How much time do visitors spend on my website? This is really, really important. The average session duration is just 1.5 minutes. So if you start seeing on certain blog posts that people are spending 3, 4, 5 minutes reading, that's amazing. You're doing a great job. So that means you want to create more content like that piece. So this will help you determine, which pages need optimized versus those that don't. If you see on your homepage, people are, spending 4 seconds and then bouncing, you have to optimize that homepage. Some other things that you can look at are what are the top pages on your website, and then go back and fix those up the most, right? For most of you, it's going to be your homepage, your about, or your team member page, and then either like the start here or contact or get in touch page. So those are the 3 we always say pay the most attention to. Make sure your calls to action are on them, things like that. It's really interesting once people start adding calendar links and calls to action on those most visited pages, the number of new prospects that book a time on their calendar goes up. It seems almost too good to be true, but it is. So if you can get like that floating calendar link where it just floats, I know Calendly has this, so that no matter where someone goes on your site, it's always there. That's a great option as well. Again, definitely look at your most read blog posts so that you can make more content like that. And then this is really huge. What are the top sources of traffic to my website? For instance, if you're part of NAPFA or XYPN, and that is one of the top ways your new visitors are finding you, then what I suggest is, on your website, put the logo of NAPFA and XYPN right there, so that when people land on it, it just reinforces like that's the way they found you, you're part of this network, because you know that that's a main reason why a lot of people are coming there. Or if they found you through XYPN and that's where 80% of your visitors are coming, and you know that people find XYPN because they're looking for a planner that focuses on working with Gen X and Gen Y, then write your language in a way that's going to attract that audience, right? However, if you see that most people are just finding you from straight SEO, which means like through organic search, they're searching things like financial planner, Austin, Texas, investment manager, Austin, Texas, things like that, then you want to have your value proposition on your homepage be incredibly clear so that people who have never heard of your business before and are just finding you through organic search will immediately know who you are, what you do, and who you serve. So depending on the top sources of traffic, you're going to optimize your homepage for different ways. So these are all different ways we suggest going through Google Analytics. We also have a full webinar that I recorded where I pull up the Google Analytics platform and in real time show you how to filter everything. This is a webinar replay. It's about an hour long, but it's definitely worth it. If you have an admin or a marketing person on your team, this would be a great one to send to them and say, here's what you need to do every month, follow Samantha's advice and assess how our platform is working. So this webinar replay using Google Analytics as a financial advisor is a really great resource to use as well. Okay. I get some more questions coming in real time. Thanks, guys. Let's see here. Okay, some of these questions I'm going to address soon, so I'm going to keep going. SEO. People have asked about optimizing old blog posts, or if you edit old blog posts, does it change your ranking? So actually what we do here is every single week we choose 1 or 2, I think 2 blog posts that were posted a year, 2, 3 years ago, and we go back and we optimize them. So what this means is, let's say it was this webinar replay about Google Analytics, right? So you can see this was published almost exactly a year ago. So if we were to optimize this right now, we might come in and add in links to new content that we've since shared about Google Analytics, right? Because if you search our blog for Google Analytics, you can see this one was just published in 2019. So we would take this blog post and link it, in here now, right? So we might say something at the bottom like, also check out the difference between Google Analytics and Google Search Console. Or we might look at other things that we've since done and maybe put a new image in here or add a couple sentences. When you go back and update old text, research shows that really helps improve your rankings. And that's because Google then looks at you as not only someone who's an expert talking about these things, but who is passionate enough about the content to go back and edit it to keep it up to date for your viewers. This is something I would venture to say 95% of other financial advisors are not doing. So if you can even optimize one post a month, you're going to be ahead of the game and you'll be rewarded in your rankings. So if you're already blogging a lot, just add it to your calendar as something to do for that month. Go in, and updating it doesn't need to be huge. You don't need to do a million different changes. Just adding new links to fresher content that you've posted. If you have some statistics, maybe you had, a post about taxes from 2017, and you had some stats in there from that year, and you want to go back in and change the 2017 stats to 2019, right? So that keeps it really fresh and relevant. The one thing you don't want to do is change the title, because if you change the title, it can change the URL link, which can then throw a 404 error. So keep the title as it is. That way you don't have to go about, redirecting everything. There is a way to change the title and not have that happen, but it's a lot easier just to leave the title as is. Okay, dating content. Someone's asking about, should you date your blog posts? I see a lot of advisors doing this. They don't date their blog posts because they're not blogging that often. Google likes the dates. It's much more journalistic. It's much more of a true professional way of, if you think of the way journalists do things, there's always a byline with an author's name and a date. And that's another thing. Optimally, you want to have a little profile about who wrote that blog post on every blog that you write. So for instance, you can see here, we have, examples of copy, really great copy on different websites. You can come on here, look at all this. And then at the bottom, we have a profile of Namisha who put this together for us, right? We actually didn't used to do this, but just in the last 6 months, Google's really, really prioritizing making you have a little author profile for every blog post. So you can see we didn't do anything fancy. We just put a picture of her in there about the author and a quick little thing about her. You could link to your LinkedIn profile. If you have more than one advisor at your firm writing content, you could each have your own. But even if there's one of you, if you're a solo advisor and you write all of the content, you should still include a little author profile for each one. The other great reason to do that, think about this. If someone just did a search right now, give me examples of creative copy for financial advisor websites, and then they landed on this, right? They don't know anything about 20 over 10 or anything like that. It helps reinforce, the author, who we are, all of that. If somebody finds you, they do a search on, what's the best age to take Social Security, and then they find your blog post, they don't know anything about your company or anything. This reinforces who you are, gives them a little bit of sense of your background. So definitely start adding both dates and your author information to all of your blog posts. Okay. Okay, so we're running out of time, so I'm going to try to go through as much. If you guys have a question you've been waiting for me to answer, please let me know so I can prioritize it. I've gotten quite a few questions about where to find good content if you're not creating your own. If you're going to purchase canned content or you're going to reshare canned content, what should you use? Where can you find a ghostwriter? All that kind of stuff. So those of you who are currently clients of ours know that if you are with 20 over 10, we have a content library that you can use. And you can come in here. It's called Content Assist. It's available with your website subscription. If you are a 20 over 10 user and don't have Content Assist in there, that just means you have been a customer for so long, you got started before it was automatically included, and we increased the monthly rates. So you can upgrade your subscription. Just contact us and we can help you do that. But you can see we're really excited actually to share. This just went into effect today, October 1st. We started to add lifestyle content directly to the library as well. So rather than just having personal finance content, we have a mixture. And that's because, again, our research shows that not just personal finance content, but things that are more interesting when you're just scrolling in your feed and you're looking for that, you know, mental break from the day, are the things that will get clicks. So we try to do a mixture of things that aren't too far away from, you know, personal finance investment field, but that seem to be a little bit more lifestyle related. So you can see like 5 luxury apps to make your life easier. Are you running a business? Here's podcasts, the best podcasts on how to scale. Surprising cost of being an art collector. So we still have all of those, you know, personal finance and tax articles and investment articles, but in addition, now we have these lifestyle articles that you can use as well. With our new product, Lead Pilot, it will actually be almost a 50-50 split. So we will have just as much lifestyle content as we do personal finance content. And that's because with Lead Pilot, it's really meant to just push out to landing pages and social media and email. Whereas with this content, it's really meant to live on your website primarily. So the idea would be that more of that content should be personal finance based. Again, if you're looking for content that you can use, this is a great way because you can do it. You can use this content and you can edit it specifically for your audience. So you can come in here and you can add your, you know, customizations. You can customize any of it. So it basically is ghostwritten content that you can use right out of the box. Any questions about the content, please let me know. No, I've been talking fast. I think I got a lot of those questions answered. Oh, I had a question about recording video and if I had any specific tips for looking at the camera and, you know, just being engaging. What I like to do is write down a few pointers of specifically what it is I'm going to talk about, and then have that next to me, just like, you know, on a piece of paper, on a Post-it or something, and then I'll keep it right here. So it's on my screen, but you can't tell, you can't notice it, but the Post-it's right on my screen. And so then as I'm talking, whether I'm looking at the camera or looking at the Post-it, the eye contact is pretty face forward and focused. The other thing I like to do is, you know, if you're making a video and you sit back a little bit and you look up or you look to the left or to the right, it's not so obvious. It's the same kind of eye contact that we have in normal conversation. Just don't like turn your head completely for an extended period of time, right? It's okay to avert your eyes, but keep your head focused forward, if that makes sense. I'm certainly not a video expert. I'm just doing what I think works and feels natural to me. And I think that's the best advice that anyone has given me that I can give all of you, is that if you do what feels natural, it will come across as more authentic and people will like it. If it feels really forced, then it's hard to watch, right? It's like cringeworthy. So it should feel more like someone feels natural on camera when they're talking to you. Okay, so we had some questions about Lead Pilot. So let's dive into that really quickly. One of the questions was about the content libraries in Lead Pilot versus Content Assist. So there is a difference between the two. We started the content library the content that's in Lead Pilot started with a lot of the content that was in Content Assist, but there's going to be some big differences. So one of them is that, like I said, there's more of that lifestyle type content that you would just want to share to social media in Lead Pilot. So for instance, you can see some of these articles up here about the best cities to start a new business. Do you need a break from stress? Book a stay at these top luxury wellness resorts, right? Those are all content you're only going to find in Lead Pilot. Additionally, we're going to have video content, interactive quizzes, and infographics in Lead Pilot that will not be in Content Assist. So completely separate, different interactive content that you can use here as well. The other thing I wanted to point out that's really neat in Lead Pilot is you can filter the content by personas as well as different categories. So I'm on our staging app because I'm not logged into the regular one, but there's all different personas. So we have Henrys, we have retirees, pre-retirees. So if you don't want to just search by a category, if you want to say, I only focus on serving, you know, women, you can come down here and click on women persona, and all the articles relevant for that audience will then come up for you as well. So If you have other questions about Lead Pilot, please feel free to drop them in. I know we're coming up on our time here. If you haven't already, you can just go to leadpilot.io and put your name on the list. So we did a first wave September 9th of 50 early access users. We're going to open that up to, I think, another 100 people. And that email is scheduled to go out. Amanda's going to kill me if I get this wrong, either this Thursday or next Thursday. So it's coming soon. So if you haven't already added your email address here, we're going to send it out to the next wave of people who've been waiting to get in. Like I said, either this Thursday or next Thursday. So if you add your email there, you'll get notified when the next wave is opening up appropriately. And then you can, you know, at that time assess it. So there is a 7-day trial that you're able to go in, check out the tool and everything. And then the billing happens on a month-to-month or an annual basis, but our early access users get a very steep discount that they will then be grandfathered into for the first full 12 months. If you are interested in Content Assist, thank you, Amanda. If you click on that link for pricing, we don't offer Content Assist to non-20 over 10 website users. So if you want Content Assist, and you don't have a 20 over 10 website, you cannot get that content, but you can get Lead Pilot. So you would be able to take the content that is in the Lead Pilot tool and use it just as Lead Pilot has it set to use, which is, you know, that you're able to share it on social media and landing pages on email, but you can also copy and paste this onto your website as a blog post. Thank you all for all of the fantastic questions. I hope these are helpful to all of you. I so appreciate, you know, that hundreds of you are interested in joining and learning from us. I will try to continue to do this every few weeks or so. In 2 weeks, I'm going to be at the eMoney conference in Austin, Texas, speaking 4 different times. So if you're planning to go, please stop by and say hi to me. I'd be happy to talk with you in person. So we won't have one that week, 2 weeks from now, but 4 weeks from now, we will have another one. One other thing, if you find all this really helpful and you haven't already, you know, go to our YouTube channel and subscribe. So every single week we add a new video of me talking about a quick marketing tip. One of these days I'll get someone else to get on camera with me, so it won't be all me, but you can see, you know, they're about 3 to 4 minutes long, and we address specific questions that get sent to us, just like all these great questions that you have sent in today. So definitely subscribe there. Additionally, I'm really active on LinkedIn and Twitter. I think Amanda shared my contact info, but it's just Samantha C. Russell on LinkedIn. Here we go. And you can connect with me there. And I'm happy to always connect with all of you and answer any of the questions that you might have. The other thing that I am working on right now that will be coming soon, if any of you are looking for a speaker at an upcoming event, this is my speakers page. You can see I'm still building it, but I do get asked to come and speak at different events. So if your organization needs someone to come in and talk all things digital marketing or do a webinar, you know, that's always something that I enjoy and am passionate about too. So certainly let us know. And thanks everyone. Have a great rest of the day.